Hello, everyone. Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you're hearing us.
And welcome back to the Grey Area. My name is Seiji Nakano.
And I'm Marta, and at the Grey Area, we talk about kindness. That's what we talk about with these two. If you have listened to us over the last few episodes, we talk about confinement, but confinement is already kind of over for now. And what's the thing that makes things grey instead of dark? It's kindness. So that's the light. And we like to analyze things with these two geeks who love research and analyzing. So we're just analyzing kindness. If you like it and feel like that resonates with you at some point, come and join us with any drink you feel like having.
Even the
or
wine
anything.
or anything.
Anything. Wine is good. So now that we have these new, not new. We've always talked about kindness at some point, and our motto is treat yourself with kindness.
Yeah, of course.
So it's always been the core of the Grey Area.
Yeah.
But we want to go deep.
Yeah.
From now on, and so I think we thought the best thing to start going deep with kindness is it's just analyzing what is kindness actually. Does anyone know what kindness is?
I know.
You know, it's very easy to confuse it with other terms, and we say, "Oh, be kind," but what is it? What does it mean to be kind? So, Seiji, researcher, do you have any insights on it?
Well, the researcher, the more Google researcher, or they're just reading books, but...
Well, you can't say that. You're an academic man.
Well, I try.
You're doing a PhD. Come on.
Right, well... I mean, the kindness is really broad topic, isn't it? I always...
Yeah.
And once... obviously since the episode 1 we've been talking about the kindness, and we've been discussing be kind to yourself and also be kind to others too. But when we decided to really talk about the kindness, I started just researching what the kindness is, and I realized it's much more broader than I thought it could be. And you know, in the dictionary, I normally start from the dictionary definitions.
That's good.
So the dictionary said kindness is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. That's it. And that, Martha, does it make sense to you?
Well, that's what everybody thinks, right? I don't know. It's but then if you go down and you try to analyze what does it mean to be considerate to others or to yourself, it's like you know, everything seems to be from the to the outside, but then if you put it on yourself and you have question yourself, have I been kind to myself? You don't really know. You don't really know what it means, right?
I know.
I don't know. It's And sorry, I'm just gonna let you talk after this. I tend to talk a lot, but it's like in the Western cultures, like where I come from. I don't know about any others, but I believe the assumption of being kind is related to bit weak or stupid somehow. It's not stupid. They're like, oh yeah, she's so kind. And it's like, we're going to find a way to get advantage of this person because he's a kind person. And I'm not very sure if that really relates to kindness, you know.
You mean
is
the
that...
real kindness, you mean?
Exactly, the real kindness. Because we have that conception, or there's this assumption, general assumption. Many people think that, it means to be a bit like innocent. So I don't know, it's confused as well with innocence somehow sometimes. I know what it happens to, you know, Japanese culture, to Japan. How do you see kindness in that?
So obviously when I checked the English dictionary, to be honest, as a Japanese person, it didn't feel it's wholesome. That the explanation was being, being friendly, generous, and considerate. It doesn't really cover everything as a Japanese person.
Yeah.
And so I decided to search it, search and translate what the kindness is from English to Japanese. And what I
Yeah.
realized is that it actually gave me three words rather than three translations rather than just giving me one translation. And those three were shinsetsu and yasashisa and itawari. And they are slightly different concept, but it is related to kindness. And
Okay.
so the first one, the shinsetsu, is more like a action. So you have just to have a deeply humane nature and to serve other people in their best interest. This is the bolded part, that in their best interest. So sometimes you can serve other people without their best interest.
Yeah.
And that really makes that the shinsetsu, the real kindness. And also, like acting from the bottom of one's heart, and to be deeply considerate of others. That's shinsetsu. And then the second part is yasashisa. Yasashisa is more like a state of being. So you are more as a attitude that the people who are yasashi means that you have a compassion with warm heart, and you have a tenderness, you have a gentleness, and that's also the kindness as well. And then the last part really I found the description extremely interesting, was itawari or itawaru as a verb, is that it's about specifically to care or interact with someone warmly with the feeling of sympathy. Therefore, it's talking about the caring about the people who are in the bad situation or who are suffering. And that's definitely something that I also consider what the kindness is. So it has a different layers of, your state of being, and also making general actions, but also what the kindness is, that you put your heart and want to help, that feeling of you want to help, or you care about someone who are in shit, or, in someone who are suffering.
It's more of a selfless
Yeah.
attitude that you have, instead of a mood, somehow, something that is more temporary. So in the English definition we have, being considerate, or is more like on a more superficial layer. Somehow the definition doesn't mean the real meaning, but the definition is more superficial. It's more on probably the first. What was the name of your first? The first lady in Japan. Okay, I can't pronounce that, but but it's more related to it's more selfless, but that's it. There's no depth apart from that, being considerate to others. And it doesn't really mention a state of being. In the
exactly.
There's not much around you breathe kindness somehow. It's what makes you be who you are. That's very interesting. What do you think that... Also, you were saying the other day, and we were talking about kindness when we were just organizing our notes. You were saying people in the Japanese culture, kindness is very much associated with being clever.
Oh yeah, definitely. As you said, in English culture, it could be, or Western culture, it could give a bit of innocence, or the being gullible in that sense a bit. But in Japan, when you talk about someone who are shinsetsu or kind, when that really gives you the idea of, this person is very intelligent, or at least very smart person, because we all know, as a Japanese person, we all know that being able to be kind, they have such a broad imaginative skills to think about what would be the cause and actions and cause, and one actions leads to what sort of conclusion, or what sort of results. So when someone does something from the kind heart, normally it gives you the impression that this person has been thinking about it so much that what would be the best actions for one person. And but obviously there are some individual differences, but clearly to me personally, at least, it really makes the impression that the people who are kind never gives that the image of the never gives the image of being stupid or idiot, because the quality of being kind really is an intelligent being quality.
Well, I didn't want to say stupid. That's a bit strong, right?
Yeah, a bit
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a bit strong.
Yeah.
I'm a bit bland this today. Sorry. No, but I think it's more the sense of naivety that goes around kindness.
That's true, yeah.
That she's so kind, and that's such a good quality. But when you're selfless, at least, I don't know. That's what I think people think. Many people think. Many of us think in the Western, is that when you're too kind, you can get others just getting advantage of your selfless and kindness, and they would just use it for their own advantage.
Yeah.
Which somehow it makes me think. So we're just getting onto cultural variations of kindness, which is going to be the topic. Probably of this podcast. But we said before, Western cultures are pretty much based on individualistic traits, and the ego and the self, and then the Asian cultures. This is being very general. Sorry about that, interculturalist people. But just to make it sure, it's more towards the interest of the community. So you forget about yourself, your own identity as a person, as a self, and then you just put it on to the best interest of the community.
Yeah.
And that makes me think probably that's why the definition of kindness differs so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
From what you were saying really triggered the idea of, in the Buddhism teaching, there are two words which distinguish quite largely. However, they are talking about the same thing. One is jiai and another one is jihi. And and I always consider jiai is more like a Christian way of thinking about kindness, and jihi is more the Buddhism approach towards the kindness. And just explaining it very simple term, jiai is more like it's the kindness that in the Christianity you have, everyone is sinner, and the God forgives you, and God my apologies for simplifying everything, but God forgives you.
We're in a podcast, we have some time limit, so it's fine. Sorry everyone about that.
God forgive you, and God will give the love to individuals. It's more towards them, towards the individuals.
It's external to you, exactly.
So it's that way. However, in the Buddhism term, the jihi is more he is actually uses the Chinese character for sadness. Jihi is actually, it's a kindness, but they're based on the people who are suffering. So people suffer. It's not that people sinner, but Buddhism term, everyone is suffering in this world, and the kindness is you want to help those who are suffering, and you want to put the smile, in a way, that simple term, you want to put the smile on those people who are suffering, and give the permanent infinite happiness by doing something. And it's a slightly different, but it's a similar thing, but it has a different approach towards it.
Yes. Also, I think, I don't know, this is my opinion, but as a Christian, and there are many religions, so we will go broad on this. There's so much, but that's from my perspective, and I'm Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And the concept is that you're gonna fuck up at some point. That's pretty much that. It's like you're already fucked up by being born. And then you just, by working in compassion and being humble.
Yeah.
And that makes me think, we're just like getting outside the meaning of kindness, or just like going around it a little bit. But being humble means to forget about yourself somehow, and just like, oh no, that's fine, I forget about myself and I just give to others. That's a concept of selflessness, probably, given the the upbringing. And if you think about yourself, or you think about being kind to yourself, that means you're selfish. And you're not humble, and you're very, very egotistical, because you're thinking about yourself, and then you just create this shield of protection, of vulnerability, like, oh my God, it's so bad, which I don't think it makes us any happy, because we we're not able to give wholeheartedly. We just go like, oh yeah, I give so much, and why people don't give to me? Well, it's kind of like the opposite. So I know it's it differs in cultures, and obviously the Japanese definition of kindness, it is related to the concept of being, and which is different to our concept. But I like more your Japanese definition and the Buddhist definition, because it is more human. It's less of there's something here outside judging you every time you do something. It's yourself, and you just have to be consequent with your actions and what you do to other people in order to so it's all about you, really.
And interestingly, I've been reading Dalai Lama's book for some time, and one of the things that he said in the many different interviews, he said, my religion is extremely simple. My religion is all about kindness, and that really sums up the Buddhism teaching itself. That how you talk about suffering, and you talk about it is normal to suffer in this world, but how to, because everyone's suffering, how to, in this suffering, what matters is how can you be kind to others and raise the compassion towards others, including yourself, and also giving a gratitude to things that are not normal, because everyone's suffering. And just the pain, or putting more emphasis on those positive aspects in the human life, is basically what really the core of the Buddhism teaching is, and trying to see that way, trying to see the world from that perspectives. Obviously there are a lot of ways to, you need to be you need to take out of the 3 poisons, which I'm not going to elaborate so much. There are 3 poisons of the life, and you need to take care of it, but you never can be able to take out the poison, so you need to nurture it, or those kind of different teachings. But it always comes back to the kindness, which
to the kindness,
which I always found it quite comfortable. I don't know, I found it very comfortable for me.
And I bought the book, so I'm gonna read it anytime soon. So but I do you think that, kindness is not easy, in terms of it's not comfortable. Sometimes you can be a kind, and if you think of a person who's kind, you think of this person who's very nice, and always like, it's all right, it doesn't matter, but being kind sometimes means saying uncomfortable things, and not and being in the uncomfortable and being able to face it.
Yeah.
And tough conversations and things that you might think, well, they're going to slap me in the face probably if I say this, but I'm just going to say it because it's for their best good. You know, I think it's related to honesty somehow.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think?
Or I think that really relates to my perception of, or the Japanese perception of the person who is being kind is also clever, because you need to think about, in a way, what would be good for this person, and rather than just pleasing someone, just simply. So it was quite it was quite interesting, because you said about the being nice and being kind. It is completely different thing, and for me, sometimes you do need to take a very drastic actions, and you need to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Rather than making pooping on someone's party, or
Yeah.
Sometimes in order for you to be kind, you really need to be courageous, and you need to be, because it's the right thing. And sometimes if you really care about someone, just like in Buddhism, they or the monks that I know. By the way, two of my ancestors were the monks, apparently. So
oh wow. Now we know.
So the monks that I know tend to use the example quite a lot of how you raise babies, or how you raise kids. So a mother taking care of baby, or the father taking care of baby, either way, the parents taking care of baby with unlimited love is a kindness. That they're always thinking about, oh, what does baby want, what does this baby is crying, what does this baby want? And then the baby grows up and starts walking. Sometimes you want to protect the baby, but sometimes also when baby starts walking, they fall, and some parents want to stop them falling, but at the same time you need to allow them to feel the pain so that they learn. And that will sometimes make them cry, make them upset. But the real kindness is for them to actually learn the world, learn the pain. And sometimes you do need to actually face that suffering and not stop it, but you just need to let it happen. And that is very, very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. That's such a great example. It's like, because if you compare, to parents' love when you have a child, and you don't want them to be hurt, you want them to suffer, you take the suffering if you could. I'm not a mother myself, but I could put myself there and think, I don't want them to be, because this is my most precious thing. And it's this selfless act that makes you feel be kind, and it's so it makes sense, but at the same time it's so uncomfortable, because you're thinking about the other one, how they have to deal with it. So I think it's funny how we just talk about kindness on a very, I don't know, not superficial, but easily. Oh, they're so kind. And it's really deep.
It is deep.
It's really deep. I was reading. I started to read some expanding my knowledge, and I was starting to read a Brené Brown book, Dare to Lead, which is it's all about leading from kindness, really. And it takes a lot of vulnerability, and say, okay, I'm just going to say this, and probably I'm going to be the affected one. But it's not about me. It's about them at this point. So I think if we put it in an example of being kind, and I've been watching, obviously, Disney movies. Obviously, because I think I had a bit of a cold as well, so I went in Disney mode, And I watched Snow White, and I thought, oh, she wasn't very kind. she was nice.
She was
but
nice,
she
yes,
wasn't.
definitely.
And I just came up with a couple of lessons to just for Snow White to be.
Okay.
I mean, she's 16, obviously. We're not gonna say she's 14 because that would be a bit disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
But she's 16, and she wants to do it for the interest of them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. So the first lesson is, I mean, just breaking into someone else's house is not very kind.
yeah, definitely not.
Organizing the house is not kind either. It's like, maybe you want to do the nice thing, but I think Snow White, the best thing would have been sitting outside, waiting for them, and say, hey, I need some shelter. Can you let me in? And I'm going to cook and clean for you guys. And they will be like, oh, yeah, cool. Instead of just freaking them out. But can you imagine that movie? Just like Snow White sitting for 20
outside,
minutes. Like, okay, that wouldn't be a very good animation movie, you know.
Sure.
But it makes me think of what you think it's kind and what actually is not that kind. Even if you think and if you have the best intention, that's not kindness, really.
True.
Because she is breaking into someone else's house, disrupting everything, and then I'm just gonna have a nap in your bed, you know. It's like,
and then also it caused nearly 15 minutes of the scene that everyone is so scared when they came back and thinking that they are. It's like we have an intruder. So
I mean, I think the we call it wise dwarf, but it's not wise dwarf. Well, they were all freaking out like this.
They
witch.
were.
Oh my god! I mean, amazing animation scene. It's like a masterwork in animation, but come on, Snow White, no. And then, so that's the first thing. Just ask for permission. Maybe you're affected, but you, I don't know. And the second one is fucking hell, she was creepy as hell. Like, you know, the queen, she was a creep. And then she was like, oh no, we need to be kind to people. I mean, okay. That's where my concept of being kind and being very naive comes from. Like, oh, she's so kind. No, she's not. She's nice. And she's a bit, she's not very critical. Like, she doesn't have a very good critical thinking, to be fair. And I'm shredding Snow White's skin today, but I couldn't help it. But, I mean, you're just preparing this pie, and that's very nice, very considerate, very generous. And that's the definition of kindness in the English dictionary. Very generous, very... and then she comes, and she's so creepy. It gives you the chills. I mean, come on, even the voice.
I know.
It's too much. And then you have all the animals saying, hey, Snow White, she's fucking dangerous. Just don't talk to her. And listen to your friends. They want to protect you. She doesn't. And she goes on, okay, just give her a glass of water. That's all right. But keep the boundaries. Like, stay out of my house. Yeah. You know, and she doesn't see it. She's like, oh, you all are not getting the point that you have to be kind. And then, obviously, she gets the apple. She works on desperation again. Like, if you make a wish, you're going to have your prince that you met by him singing a song to you. Yeah. And she's like, okay, I get it. And then she dies. And he's like, yeah. That's it, you know, and I'm not, and then the Western, or what we would be, is like, I'm not going to be kind anymore. I'm not going to be considerate anymore. I'm just going to build this protection shield, and that's what Snow White would probably do when she goes to the castle with the husband. Like, no, we don't take any more apples from, you know, these people. I'm just not going to be that. But there's a difference between I'm being kind and, if something happens, that there's some level of consideration, but then think a little bit as well. Like I was just thinking about the whole thing, and SnowWhite was like, no, that wasn't kindness, really.
No, that
was. I
don't know. I think that you do. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think she was kind at all. She was nice, or she was pleasing people, but
she was
I don't know. Just realistically, if someone comes into your room when you're working in the office, and when you come back, some random person has cleaned up your room and
sleeping on your bed,
sleeping on my bed. She might look extremely beautiful, but it's really creepy. and obviously I have my way of arranging things, and I have the way of the reasons that why these things are there. But from her standard, she cleaned up in her system, and with her standard, she in a way she judged, oh, this is dirty, this needs to be cleaned up because they're kids, and that really,
exactly.
That's not kindness. That's actually it's not in their best interest. It's
I'm
her
just gonna
interest.
Do these things exactly because that's what I know to do best. It's like, I mean, even when she's with the stepmother, the queen, and she's cleaning. Like, come on. Come on, she's whistling, and it's okay. That's my thing. My thing is cleaning, and I'm absolutely fine. And then she goes to the woods to be killed, and she's like, "Who wants to kill me? I mean, you want to think a little bit, love? Yeah. It's the queen. What? It's a queen. Yeah. It's like." Come on.
But interestingly, though, there's
actually, a bit of a syndrome there.
There's also another word for related to the kindness in Japan, but it's the negative word. It's osekkai.
Okay.
Or the person who is osekkai. Osekkai is a person who thinks they are kind, and they act on their own inner purpose and own inner values to believing that will save their lives, or that makes their living situation so much better, but they don't really consider they don't put themselves into their shoes. And the people who are like that are called osekkai.
I'm just I prefer Japanese culture at this point. Definitions are way more explicit than our concept of kindness, really. I could go on and on with SnowWhite, but I decided to stop here because I would shred her skin off, and it's not very fair. We all love SnowWhite, even if she's, innocent at some point. But I have creepy theories going on in my head. Like, this is too adult stuff. You know what? It was the first movie I went to see in the cinema when I was 9 months. My mom took me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They put it again on the cinemas when I was like 9 months. It was really small. And it was my first movie. And then you see all the dwarves trying to kill the queen.
Must be quite scary for you, though, because there were quite a lot of scary scenes.
There must be something in my subconscious about it, but I think I was pretty much like, oh, that's cool. Maybe that's where my love for animation comes from. I don't know. But it was funny. It's like, Snowy's not a movie for kids, really. You see, there's a lot of adult content, really.
I know. It's scary. And also, definitely the adult content's in there as well.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, So
sorry. You were gonna stop the SnowWhite. I wonder. It's just my daydreaming part that just popped into my head. I wonder if because I love the magic mirror. I wonder if the magic mirror was kind.
I have the same thoughts. Because he was actually saying, here you go.
Yeah. Would he tell the Snow-White is the most he didn't say the word beautiful, but he said finest, I think. If the magic mirror was so kind, would he tell that the SnowWhite is the finest, or would he lie? I don't know. I kept thinking, what would the movie look like if the magic mirror was not nice but kind?
Well, I think he was paid for that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, if you want to tell, I mean, he was paid to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe he was just like, I'm so done with this bullshit. I'm just gonna say the truth. Like, I've been through 16 years of my life, and yeah, you're the most beautiful one. Actually, I don't think so, but fine. Or maybe she was because he was younger. You know, it's this concept of vanity and beauty behind. We could do a PhD on SnowWhite at some point.
Oh yeah.
But maybe the mirror was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna tell you this, and that was kind.
Yeah,
that was kind,
yeah.
You want me to tell you this? Mm-hmm. Maybe the answer is not what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
So here goes, you know.
True.
So it's just put yourself on the tough conversation that you really want to hear the truth. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
This is it. So you never know. But I think it's good. It's a good line. What does it mean to be nice, and what does it mean to be kind?
Yeah.
And that can be something we talk about next week, because it's really broad. It's like, oh my God. You don't really know how broad it is until you start thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Well, we think about it because we think a lot. So...
True that.
Yeah, so I think for next week, we can go for the difference between being kind and being nice and what it is. And we could start talking about the quote that you have ready for this week.
Okay.
Maybe, because it's time to wrap up, I'm afraid.
All right. The quote, coincidentally, I found this quote and I thought it's like meant to find. This quote is by the Fitzgerald, who wrote The Great Gatsby, amazing novel. He said, to be kind is more important than to be right. Many times what people need is not a brilliant mind that speaks, but a kind heart that listens.
That's, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's just... I just love that quote.
I know.
I just love it.
And also, it kind of teaches me as well, because I tend to go on try to be a bit more analytical and try to be more, make sense and to be right and having a sense of justice of something. But what he says is, rather than that, you just need to be kind to listen to people.
Yeah, you don't need to be right.
Yeah.
Or give the right... say the right things. Sometimes you don't need to say anything to be kind. You just have to shut up and listen. Yeah. So that's a bit blunt, but it's basically the concept of it. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to put that on my wall. I'm just going to put it on a post-it note and just keep it as a reminder.
Yeah.
My song.
Okay. What's your song?
It's very self-revealing. It's from Bread, who's a 70s is rock, is classic rock, but they're really cool, and they're usually very mellow. But this song in particular, I love it because it's more rock. And it's called "Be Kind to Me."
Nice.
So
nice.
It's a really cool song to listen to while you read Fitzgerald and the quote. So it's really cool.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So everyone, thank you for listening. We are on Twitter, the Grey Area 1919, and on email if you wanna just share with us anything that you think, or just post a comment or anything. You can send us an email at info@thegrayarea.online. Did I say it right?
Yes,
yeah,
you got it right. Finally, yes.
5 episodes, I said it right. Yes.
Yes. We're getting used to it.
Or just post in the comments on YouTube if you're listening to this on YouTube that works as well. So any is fine.
And also we have a website that's thegrayarea.online, and you can listen to us on YouTube or Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, or Stitcher. Great.
Exactly. Very good. Very
Good.
nice.
All right. So have a lovely week.
Yes, and treat yourself with kindness now that you know a little bit better about kindness and being kind.
All right, so see you next week.
Bye. Have a lovely week. Bye.